Knowing you, Sherrie, it probably made it even funnier for me.
Yes, and if you could have seen what I saw, you would have never got over it either. Life.
Hello.
Hello.
How is everybody?
Good. Not bad.
Magnificent on a Monday, I would say.
Indeedy.
Magnificent Monday.
On a grey Monday, but we are going to bring the sunshine. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Woo! She said it.
You said it.
Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook.
And please follow us on Twitter and don't forget to tweet.
And always remember, whatever happens, to go to Instagram.
Yes.
Yes. Very good. That's good. And before we start anything, girls, just give me a few seconds if you don't mind.
Cool.
I'm sorry I wasn't here Friday. I obviously had a bereavement in the family, my darling brother, and the funeral was Thursday. And I just want to say to everybody out there, I was overwhelmed by the thousands of comments and love and caring that you all sent me. And I can't tell you what it's done. It really, well, it's helped me through the weekend, and I feel your love, and thank you so much to everybody out there. Thank you. And from my brother, thank you.
That's beautiful.
Sherrie, that's wonderful. It's we're so happy that you're back with us because
welcome back, darling.
I'm pleased
we
to.
so missed you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's lovely. And
can I say thank you to Julie Peasgood, because I thought she was fabulous.
She was.
She's such a super girl. I love her.
She flew into the nest and came in.
She did.
But we did miss you a lot, Sherrie. It's very funny, isn't it? When the dynamic changes as well. It's a different kind of a show, but we love you, and we are so excited that you're back with us to have some fun.
Really great to be back.
I'm particularly glad because obviously there's guinea pig updates which we need because I've not heard anything about them.
Desperately.
Obviously not now.
We will.
But
we'll have later.
That's
how I see you.
Update for you, but I'll tell you later.
Yes.
Oh,
it's
we
quite
can't wait.
exciting, actually.
Are they still alive? That's my worry. Yeah.
Oh,
you do look rather, Sherrie, you do look rather gorgeous today, as usual, in one of your another one of those fantastic jackets and tops.
Always wear pink, and I've got a pink
divine
top.
What's that?
Woo. It's a lovely top.
Pink.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Actually, the top is pink and orange.
Is it?
Wow.
How cool am I?
That is so
Where's
cool.
the orange? You can't see it, Sherrie.
Hashtag on trend, darling.
Apart from standing on a chair, can't really
don't stand on a chair, for God's sake.
Great.
Do not stand on a chair.
But so pink is good today.
Talking about pink, I'm wearing little bit of you top. Look, little bit of you. Look.
Woo!
Oh, my Keely's top. Little bit of you. Yeah.
Little bit of you. Fabulous.
Oh, Keely.
Darling, I know. Keely's lovely and so brilliant. Her website.
Oh,
anyway,
sorry.
The good news is, guess who's flown into our nest today?
Who?
Well, it's somebody that we all know almost intimately, actually.
Oh, how dare you?
A great surprise. Yes, I know.
He's a married man.
Reveal. And it is Dr.
Sorry,
Aamer.
He's a married man who knows us.
I know.
Intimately.
He is very married, and I love his wife, Leslie.
Leslie, we do love Leslie.
Wonderful woman.
Is
a wonderful woman.
She's an amazing woman. But here to actually chat with us in our nest today is Dr. Aamer Kahn.
Yay!
Welcome.
Welcome
to the nest.
Oh, here he is.
Here he is.
Dr. Kahn. I always call you Dr. Kahn out of respect, because I know that as well as being a magnificent cosmetic surgeon, you're also a very, very distinguished and an amazing doctor, dealing with many issues, very important issues today. And I know that we're going to talk about all sorts of things, but I'd like to start actually by saying welcome to our nest. And
Thank you.
and how lovely it is to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Lovely to see you all.
I know a lot about, you know, the harbouring of stem cells because my granddaughter unfortunately had leukemia, but is very, very well now. But I think it would be really great, because I know that you're working with stem cells at the moment. And if you could explain to us and everyone what that means and how that could help people in the future.
Well, stem cells are the basis of regeneration. And we all have stem cells. When we're born, of course, the stem cells are more active, and they're in great numbers, particularly in the cord. So when babies are born now, and we tend to save their stem cells, they're collected from their cord and the cord lining, and put on ice for them, just in case they need them later on. Now, the whole story about stem cells with me started back in 2006, when I started working with cell-derived factors with PRP. I remember back when I was doing my obs and gynae in the 80s, all the placentas used to go off to the makeup houses and the skincare houses like Max Factor and L'Oreal. They used to use the colostrum, which is the stem cell related factors which the placentas and the cords produce to put into their creams. So anybody who was using, you know, Pond's cold cream at that time tended to have very good skins. However, the Human Tissue Act came in the sort of mid to late 80s, which stopped that from happening, and it put our skincare about 30 years back, and it's taken us a good 30 years to get back to where we were from a regenerative point through technology and through development. So, you know, now people are more aware of what stem cells do, what stem cell factors do. And the whole purpose of stem cells is that they repair. So whenever we have an injury, it's our regenerative system that kicks into action. And part of that is stem cells. However, as we get older, the stem cells are not as potent or as active. So our healing capacity and regenerative capacity slows down. So we can take stem cells and activate them. And there are various types of stem cell treatments now, anywhere from PRP, which is effectively taking your blood and taking the growth factors and concentrating them, through to stem cell conditioned media, where stem cells from human or red deer cord, umbilical cord, is taken, and their factors, their communicating proteins, are taken and used. But we can also use stem cells themselves, and there are two sources. One is from the umbilical cords of fetuses, and the other is from our own body. So you have allogeneic, where we get age 0 stem cells that we can use, and we can use those to help rejuvenate, regenerate, and repair systems within the body. Or we can use our own. We can harvest them from our fat or our bone marrow.
Wow.
Wow.
Extraordinary.
Amazing. That's absolutely fascinating. And you've also, with stem cells, they rejuvenate, and you wrote a book, didn't you?
Yeah, Turn Back Time. That was,
Turn Back Time.
That was about how we can reactivate our own cells internally. And
Yes.
that's more of what we call a genomic approach. And a genomic approach is looking at how we can change the way our body works for it to work more efficiently. So
does that mean that I can't have Baileys and Haagen-Dazs? Does that not help me?
Well, a little bit of what you like is good for you.
There you go. I knew it.
Did it.
Can I also ask, I wanted to say, I've used your products, and this is stem rejuvenation.
Yes.
Is that a similar thing?
Yes, it is. We use stem cells from Swiss green apples within that. So the stem cells produce communicating proteins. So they work through producing messengers, which are proteins, and those messengers then direct the environment to repair itself, to heal itself. So that's one of the actions. So by using stem cell factors, we're using growth factors. And throughout nature, they are basically the same. So we can use plant growth factors, we can use animal growth factors, or human growth factors.
Or as you said, apples. So I'm saying apple pie. That's all I'm saying. What I wanted to talk to you also about very importantly, not just what you do in Harley Street with all the amazing surgery you do, but also Back on Track, your charity for veterans who you help, and whether it's burns or scars or shrapnel injuries, you can help them, and you do, and it's the most amazing charity because it helps them emotionally, physically and spiritually, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's really close to our hearts. This really started back in 2012 when Mark Allen, who was the youngest double amputee after being blown up, came to us. And he didn't come to us because of the fact that he'd lost his legs and his, bits of his nose and digits. He came to us because the shrapnel injury had gone up and caused scarring. And also he had a scar from the tracheostomy in his neck, where a tube had been put in to help him to breathe when he was on ITU. And he wanted to improve that. And Leslie, my wife and I, who started the clinic and owned the clinic, we decided at that point that he needed a lot more. We got to know him, and he was 18 when he was blown up, and he was about 19 going on to 20 when he came to see us. But what we found from him was not just his incredible resolve and resilience, but he enjoyed the rush. He enjoyed the rush of racing, and he was kart racing. So we decided to start to support him to adapt karts so he could do go-kart racing. And these things are quite fast and quite powerful. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
It's so extraordinary that he would do that, and your support is life-changing, and not just for him, but for all the veterans that you help. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, we realized that, we couldn't support all of them. So what we did was we provided for them our clinic to do rehabilitation and restorative work and support them medically. And we very quickly found out that, it wasn't just physical injuries, it was the psychological injuries that were also very important to deal with to get back on track with life. So we started our charity so we could fund the treatments we were doing, physical, psychological, and physical. And and
so wonderful.
And through our lovely contacts, like yourselves, and our other contacts, we've been able to find them pathways through learning different skills and getting back into life with their professions and their jobs as well.
Dr. Kahn, this time that we're all living in is horrendous, and we all know, and the stress level is just through the roof. All of us that are on our own, it's extraordinary times. And I know that you have you talk about a spiritual retreat, and that, this is going to be needed more than ever now, isn't it, Aamer?
I think so. One of the things that Leslie, my wife, and I have been working on for a while now is looking at how we can actually work with people. And a lot of this comes from what we have learned through working with soldiers, that, just physical improvement in how we look isn't enough to give people a holistic and, and not just physiological, improve their health internally, improve their guts, and spiritually. I think we also need that spiritual piece to be able to move forward. And there's very good work done within genomic medicine to show that if we are psychologically and spiritually imbalanced, then it does have physical effects on how our body works because of the signaling between cells. And, it's how the cells communicate with each other that determines how well they work and how healthy the body is.
That's your internal organs and your skin and everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It affects everything. Your whole body, your hair, everything. Stress.
It's really lovely that you're thinking about the whole person. Sorry, I've got a dog over me as usual.
That's wonderful.
She always tries to come in on the conversation. She what's that, Tinkerbell? Oh no, Tinkerbell's got a question, Aamer.
She's got a question.
She said, when can she have some Botox? That's what she wants to know.
Lowering the tone. Lowering
when
the tone.
when actually
Sharpie,
you know,
doctor.
a lighter subject for people that are vacuous like myself. When are you going to be able to come back to do treatments? I mean, that seems like it's going to be ages away, or what do you think? When is that going to happen?
We're looking seriously at opening quite soon because of the announcement that that Boris made yesterday. I think when we look at the risk we're at, and we talked about unusual times and being locked away, and what I've got to say is that the National Health Service and the doctors, we all get a lot of gratitude and thanks for what we do. We are doing a job at the end of the day, and we've reverted our clinic back to the NHS. But now there comes a time when we've got to think about reopening and connecting with our patients again, and with the community that we were helping. But what I'd like to say is that, I'd like to express a great gratitude to each and every person who has followed the advice, self-isolated, socially distanced, and followed the hygiene recommendations, because that's what's really brought down the infectivity rate and flattened the curve. And that's what's protecting our doctors and our National Health Service.
Yeah.
So a great thank you for that, because when we clap, on a Thursday when I'm free, I will clap as well, but I'm clapping everybody out there in the public who are doing their bit, and they're the heroes as well.
Oh,
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Aamer. But listen, you are our hero.
Yes,
Thank you for looking after all of us. You've been friends. We've been friends for Leslie and yours for years. You've looked after all of us, not only as a doctor but as a friend. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the work you do. And we will see you very soon, we hope. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Aamer.
You're welcome.
And Aamer, you must come back. Will you come back and talk to us again?
Please.
Of course, I'd love to do that. But on any subject, because my background is general medicine, and I do have a number of slots where I do medical radio advice. So
men's radio, isn't it, Aamer?
Oh, great.
Well, would you like to be our official doctor?
That would be anything that I can do to help.
Thank
All right.
you.
Lovely.
Thank you,
Thank you, Aamer.
Fabulous.
Thank
See
you,
you.
Leslie.
And love to Leslie.
Will do. Thank you. Bye-bye.
How
What
lovely.
an amazing man. I think his trajectory of what he does is so extraordinary. Not only does he do amazing cosmetic surgery, but running, that extraordinary Back on Track charity is just wonderful.
Amazing. And can I say, when he said about the spiritual retreat, I know I'm into this whole thing, but the cells talking to each other, and the sort of mental. I thought nobody said it like that. How fabulous!
Yes, because he makes it what's the word? Easy to understand. Some people talk in
layman.
science.
Amazing.
But Sherrie, does that mean we've got to get crystals now? But can I just tell you, more importantly than any of this, we have got the wonderful Stephen Murphy joining us, because we want to know what's going on in the soap world.
We do.
It's very important. It's very, very dynamic at the moment. Steve, are you there? Hi,
Steve. Darling, we need your help so badly. We need to know what's going on in the soap world.
Well, it's a busy old week. So there's a bit of less soap on. There's quite a lot going on. There's a really big story in Corrie with Steve and Leanne about their little boy Oliver, who's having seizures and things, and he's going to be diagnosed with mitochondrial disease, which I'm hoping I said right, which is a sort of life-limiting condition. So that's a great big thing for that family to take on, and that's going to be a really big story for the next couple of months.
Steve, this thing with Yasmin, I think I saw it somewhere online that Sally is going to be her saviour.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Alia, her granddaughter, is all guns blazing this week to try and expose Jeff. But Sally, you remember Sally was, if you saw it, Sally was out the back, saw her crying at one point. Sally's had a bit of an idea. And also, the good thing about this story from a kind of drama point of view is, of course, Sally's married to Tim, who is Jeff's son.
Yeah.
So it sort of starts to drive a bit of a wedge between Sally and Tim, because they're both on different sides, which is quite fun.
Yes, because he's on his father's
Yeah.
side, isn't he, for some
Yeah.
weird reason. He doesn't
Yeah.
see it. I find it really strange, the whole thing, but it's very dark, isn't it? I mean, all the soaps are very dark.
It
at
is.
the moment,
It is quite dark. I mean, they do have their lighter moments, but I think the trouble is because everyone's showing half as many. But sometimes there are a few dark episodes, but normally in a week you would get some lighter ones or some lighter bits. I think sometimes, particularly the week where Yasmin finally snapped, that should really have been just over kind of 2 days rather than a whole week.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right,
I think when they are dark, they feel darker because it's a little bit longer till we get a little bit of respite from it.
And that we forget that that's how it used to be all the time.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Usually 3, or 2. Yeah.
And Stephen, may I ask you, with soaps now, I mean, they're really important, aren't they, for actually bringing the nation together and covering issues, really important issues, and of course, as you said, light-hearted issues as well, but just really reflecting the mood and helping people to actually understand what's going on. And I think that, soaps now are mega important, aren't they?
Yeah, I've always been a great big kind of supporter of that. They're a really great way to bring, I hate the word issues, but to bring issues into the living room, not in a patronising way, or not, they're not public information films, but they can really make people start a conversation on the sofa.
Yeah.
They make
people think,
I didn't know about that. They're very good at bringing both sides of an argument as well.
Yeah.
And all that kind of thing, and actually just sparking off a little bit of a debate. I mean, we do a lot of research for the magazine into soaps, obviously.
Yeah.
And people have said, they've seen, perhaps there was a story where Bethany in Cornish Street was groomed a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
And they said, I really, after the episode, I spoke to my daughter and said, look, if you ever feel uncomfortable with this, I found that it was a good way to start a conversation, because often issues are hard to talk about, and actually, if you can almost like project it onto someone else as a way of talking about it. I think it's quite good.
Can I just ask you, because Charlotte Bellamy is one of my favourite
I love
actresses
Charlotte.
of all
She's
time.
a lovely lady.
Oh, I just think she's amazing. She plays Laurel in Emmerdale. And what is going on with this son? Because there's an awful storyline that said she might have to leave the village. Yeah, what is that all about?
It's a really good story, this, with her son Arthur. It's been kind of going along for quite a while now. It's been bubbling under. But basically his dad died, Ashley, the families had quite a tough time. Arthur has started turning into a bit of a bully, and he's been caught out a couple of times, and Laurel thinks he's sorted it, but he's not. He's a little bit messed up. And this gets very interesting this week, because if you saw it on Friday, he ended up playing about with a bit of fire and ended up setting a tent on fire with his little sister in it. And Laurel's obviously going to have to take some sort of action after that. She calls the police in this week to try and give Arthur a right. But it's a very interesting story, because we spoke to Charlotte about it, and she was saying what's interesting about it is that Arthur is just about to become a teenager, so he's physically getting bigger and stronger, and what might have seemed like childish bullying actually could quickly become something very dangerous. He's probably stronger than her now, because he's getting that, and that's her kind of thing, is she has to somehow nip this in the bud before it becomes dangerous, which it already has. I think it's a really, really good story, and I think it's often in soaps, often the ones that chime most with people aren't the affairs or the explosions or all that. They're those ones that are kind of laced in family and how families work and stuff that everyone can kind of empathise with.
And also the fact that they name things, they actually call it, things that people don't talk about or are frightened of talking about, they name it. And as you said, get it out in the open with no shame.
What's happening in EastEnders?
EastEnders, Ben, is Phil's son, is about to undergo a cochlear implant for his hearing damage that he had after the boat crash. But he's also at the same time about to do a job with his dad, a sort of dodgy job, to try and raise money to buy
Of course.
It's all go. So, but of course, Ben is going out with Callum, who's currently training to be a policeman. So I really do think that Mitchells and police don't really mix, but I don't think a little bit of a problem with that. So that's
it was
very much
terribly
this week.
sad, Stephen, when for June Brown to leave. I thought, I know she's 93, and I worked with her a year ago, and she was on top form. But I just thought it was terribly sad because I thought she would be there forever. I really did.
Yeah.
And everybody loves June.
I hope she
Adore her.
relents and does a sort of proper, comes back and does a proper exit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, her exit was a little bit sort of low key, and it seems
Yeah,
a shame.
neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love her. Oh, well, it's
Amazing.
exciting stuff.
It is, but also what's
Very.
interesting at the moment is in this lockdown situation is there's a lot of other soaps now that people are really coming back to. People are coming back to Home and Away and Neighbours at lunchtime.
Wow.
Doctors is doing really well at the minute. Doctors is getting really great ratings. And the other thing that's doing really well is the classic Emmerdale and the classic Coronation Street in the afternoon.
Yes, I'm in there.
But you're in.
Yes.
You're in.
It's because of you.
Reg.
Yeah.
Darling, it's because of you. That's why.
Yes, I won't tell you that story, but anyway, on the waterbed with naked Reg, but never mind.
What happened in the waterbed?
Well, it was drilled from downstairs, and it was from the cabin, and it drilled the bed, and the bed flooded the room, and Reg and I were marooned in the bed.
Yeah.
It was very funny, very, very. To be on my headstone.
Absolutely, my favourite scene ever. It really was. And of course, knowing you, Sherrie, it probably made it even funnier for me.
Yes, and if you could have seen what I saw, you would have never got over it either. God for life. God for life. That's why I've been
That's for
single for
later.
16 years. Never could I face another man in my life. But Stephen, will you come back and see us again and tell us
Of
more?
course I will. You know what? It's an excuse to have a shave and put a shirt on. So
There you go. There you go.
yeah, I don't know if you
Lovely.
ladies do this. I even put aftershave on like I was going out. Because I was good.
Yes.
Because
It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird.
I
I
know,
got
what's that
properly
all
right. I
about?
thought, well, I'll put a little bit of aftershave on.
I love putting on perfume every day, though. I love doing that. I still want to do that, though.
Yeah, we all want a bit of
Zhuzh.
pampering.
Gorgeous.
That's what we
We
want.
do.
But Stephen,
Listen,
come
girls.
again, and we'll see
Will
you
do.
very soon. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
today. Can't wait to hear the next bit. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh,
So funny.
how fabulous.
He is great, isn't he?
It's great to get all the gossip, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah.
I
And
know.
talking
absolutely.
about gossip, girls, I've got a little bit of news for you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, you know, my chihuahua has
Yes.
just kissed my guinea pig, and that's not a euphemism. I'll show
Okay, you need to rewind,
Wow.
please. What do you mean your chihuahua? This is news
Yes.
to us.
Oh!
Whose is that?
This is Teddy,
Oh,
my chihuahua,
Oh.
and he keeps kissing the guinea pigs.
where did you get Teddy from, darling?
This is my Molly, my granddaughter's little doggy. So
Gorgeous.
Molly was worried about me last week. She said, "You have Teddy, and he'll come and look after you."
Oh, isn't he divine?
And he's now kissing the guinea pigs. That's better
He's
than any
kissing
soap
this
opera
very
news.
strange. He has this very strange bark. It's meow, 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 meow. But anyway, and the guinea pigs
Oh,
don't like it, but they keep coming and looking at him. And then the big one actually kissed him on his nose yesterday.
oh, isn't that
Yeah,
gorgeous?
So now we've got guinea pig soap news.
We have.
Yes, right. But there will be more news about the guinea pigs soon. But I'll tell you that another day.
Thank you.
They're not pregnant. Or
I was just going to
anything
ask.
Okay.
You're going to
Not
be a
by
breeder.
Teddy.
Yeah.
like that. So what's happening Wednesday, girls?
Oh,
What to watch?
What to
on
watch Wednesday?
And also, yes, what to watch. We want to know all of your favourite shows because we're going to be discussing ours. And we're also going to be discussing again makeup, lipsticks, all of the things. Have any of you made Lavoie's fantastic lip gloss? As you know, I have. I've been talking about it.
You
We're going to
have.
be talking about different sorts of lipsticks and eyeshadows and all things makeup. We're going to have a lot of fun on Wednesday. So,
I'd like to
Certainly
talk
are.
about moisturising makeup.
Yes. oh yes,
Yeah.
like
Foundation.
That's
those
right.
moisturised foundations that are brilliant. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. What was that, Dee? What do you want to say?
I was going to say that actually my grandmother had a fantastic moisturizer that she used to use, and I actually contacted the company who have just bought it in France, and I'm
Wow.
going to tell you all about that on Wednesday.
Oh,
That's so exciting.
What to watch Wednesday and what to wear on your face Wednesday. So we'll see you on Wednesday.
On
Thank you for
Wednesday.
joining.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.